ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It's a Friday edition of Hoist the Colors. A lot going on this weekend. NCAA tournament continues. The Sweet 16 already underway. Already have some participants heading to the Elite Eight. We'll discuss that. MLB opening day is now in the rearview mirror, although there are still some teams waiting to play their first game as well. We'll discuss that over the course of the next hour. ECU baseball taking a huge series on the road at UTSA, or taking on UTSA in a huge series, hopefully taking it by the end of the weekend. We'll see. The Roadrunners are tough. We'll break that down a whole lot more. Another crucial weekend for the Pirates on the diamond. We've got a full crew today. Our usual Friday guest, he is Bobby Harward. Who's sponsoring you today, Bobby?
Let's go Sup Dogs today.
Sup
Why not?
Dogs. Sup
That's
Dogs.
why I'm here. I'm here for the Sup Crushes anyways.
Bobby, brought to you by Sup Dogs. You guys know the deal. Downtown Greenville. Brett Oliverio does a tremendous job with Sup Dogs and Crush Vodka, supporting not only our programs but also ECU Athletics. Check them out. 213 East 5th Street if you're in town this weekend and whenever you are in town. So good to have Bobby back. Also have, wait a minute, who is that joining us over the video? Is that Joseph Samson? He is back. Joe, how's it going?
How are we doing, Igo? I'm breaking your rule. You banned me from joining the show in our group chat until the Jets made the playoffs, but I think you've forgotten
I forgot
about this decree. So here we are. I'm still kicking, folks. They haven't taken me out yet, but the NCAA is still trying to silence me, and we'll get into all that.
The NCAA trying to silence Joe Samson. All right, we'll figure out the latest on that. Look, anytime we can have Joe on and I have to do less talking, he can fill that space with more talking. I'm never going to turn that down. So it's good to have you on despite the Jets. I'll say this, you can't be a regular until the Jets make the playoffs. How about
That's
that?
fair.
There we go. So for the rest of your life. All right, Philip Pilkington, he is producing. Philip, how's it going?
It's good, man. Hey, the Red Sox are 1-0, so I'm riding high, and can't win 162 if you don't win the first one.
The Mariners will not be winning 162. They lost to the Guardians last night, and they are 0-1, but 161-1 still alive. So, yeah, everybody's team's here. Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, all 1-0. My Mariners, though, 0-1. We'll get into baseball here in a little bit on the MLB side. Gentlemen, let's lead with ECU. No surprise we have another Lane Smith comment about Cliff Godwin on today's show. He mentions that they talked about Cliff on the D1 Baseball podcast, and he's saying that he's going to go with ECU losing all three of these games this weekend, but the Phillies will win the World Series. So that is the most Lane Smith post I've ever read.
It is.
Brady Thomas is in the chat. He wants to know if it's Joey football or Joey baseball now.
Well, we do all things. I'm also Joey Roundball because it's the tournament, so it's okay.
Joey Roundball. He's a man of many trades. ECU at UTSA this weekend, gentlemen. And look, I'm just going to be honest, there's a lot of negativity out there for one reason or another. You guys know why at this point ECU gets walked off. The postgame with Cliff, I guess, has gone viral, and which is kind of crazy. But ECU, despite a 15-10-1 record, gentlemen, I was running some numbers previewing this series. The Pirates come into the weekend. Now, it's still a little early to pay attention to RPI, but it's starting to kind of round into form. ECU is 57 in the RPI, 35 strength of schedule. UTSA 47 in the RPI, 137 strength of schedule. I mean, as up and down as this has been, if the Pirates go out and win this series this weekend on the road, I won't say they're right where they need to be because I think a lot of people just like to be them in the hosting mix, but they're in good shape for an at-large bid. Now, if you lose this series, it's a little bit tougher, but my thing is, Bobby, they have a chance to kind of right the ship in a big way this weekend. It's a tough series, but also a chance to make a bit of a statement.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, first off, I was hoping Netflix would cover the game because I'd love to see Jameis Winston interview Cliff Godwin.
Oh my gosh.
That would be comedic right there. But, yeah, it's a massive series. You mentioned it. UTSA's had our number recently. Not the most luxurious ballpark out there. It's going to be a tough series, and they've been hot this year. And then looking ahead down the schedule too, the reason this is important is like Wichita beat Charlotte, which was kind of surprising. They're coming up down the road. South Florida's coming up. We know the Charlotte series is next week, so there's a lot of big series on deck. And if we put ourselves behind the 8 ball to start this weekend, it's going to be tough sledding going forward.
Joseph, we haven't had you on this entire baseball season. What's your take on the Pirates to this point and kind of the key chance to turn it around this weekend on the road?
You know, for a second, I thought about walking off during that question. I think it's a big thing for UTSA. And this is a team that obviously ECU's had some ups and downs, didn't start out the season the way they needed to against Xavier, had a couple tough games as of late, especially considering the midweek against Duke. UTSA is not a bad ball club. They've had our number, like Bobby alluded to, the last 3 or 4 years. Now you've got 4 players who are essentially batting 400 in that lineup for them. Caden Miller's been unbelievable so far this year. I mean, he's got to be in the conversation, as does Detlefsen, I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't know. I don't go to the school of the Roadrunners, so I can't tell you off the top of my head. But they're a good ball club. They've got good pitching. They're deep as far as it comes to, with a lot of arms, with a lot of experience. They may not have the best numbers as far as ERA this far into the year, but this is not a slouch. This is what it is every year. We know exactly how UTSA likes to handle these types of situations against ECU also, behind the scenes, and to try and get into their heads. And I got to imagine the players have to be a little tense right now. I mean, there's a lot riding on this. You had high expectations. You're not where you thought you were going to be in what was probably the most wide open the Americans been in the last couple of years. Memphis isn't what it used to be by any means, and there's not a ton of teams that should have ECU's number. And here we are sitting, I think it's 14-11 is the record now, or 15-9-1.
15-10-1, that annoying one on the end. And again, 35th strength of schedule, so the Pirates have played a tough schedule at this point. UTSA they can just flat out mash guys. 326 batting average. They've also hit in the 36 home runs, as Joe mentioned. They have 4 guys at the top of that order. They've got 1 guy with 9 home runs, 1 guy with 6. The pitching, though, they're kind of in a similar boat to ECU. Robert Orlowski was their number 1 starter. He went out for the year on opening day. And they've had 2 guys who have kind of been in the rotation, Kendall Dove and Connor Miles, with mediocre numbers. But they haven't really found kind of a go-to guy in the starting rotation with consistent numbers. The bullpen, they do have a guy by the name of Sam Simmons, not necessarily overpowering, but 6-1 with a 1.63 ERA. Think of him as their Sean Jenkins. They also have a lefty, Christopher Gutierrez, who's kind of a matchup guy, 14 appearances, 10 innings. So I would say they're mediocre on the mound, top heavy, maybe similar to ECU given their injuries. So I think the Pirates, with Norby, if he's on, have an advantage maybe tonight. We'll see as the weekend progresses, Philip. But I certainly am expecting lots of offense.
Yeah, I think so. This is going to be one of those where it might be the first team to 8. As Joe said, they don't have a lot of fall off after their top guys because they are deep, but it's not like they have, two, it's not like a Trey Savage, Zach Root situation where you got guys that you just totally fear, right? So I think you're going to have to not give away runs. Runs will be scored, but whatever team gives runs, gives away outs, you only get 27 of them. If you get an opportunity to get one of these ball clubs out, you better do it. And if you start selling the ball over the first baseman's head and guys are running around like it's a NASCAR race where every time they get to a base, it's another left turn, you're going to lose.
If you go back to March 10th for UTSA, here are the scores to their games. 9-8, 10-5, 15-11, 11-8, 15-8, 12-11, 4-1, 7-6, 18-8, and 3-1. So you randomly had a pitcher's duel against Texas A&M Corpus Christi midweek, but outside of that, it's been
Lions of Corpus Christi hanging in there.
A lot of offense. So, the ECU, it's going to be tough enough to get outs this weekend. I want to see them ideally not make any errors, but definitely limit the errors from game to game. If you give UTSA extra outs, you're going to be in trouble. And also, we saw the free passes, Bobby, in the Duke game. Like, ECU had control of that game, up 8-4 in the 7th. They put in a reliever. He walks 2. Both those guys come around and score. Like, they just can't give away the free 90s.
Dude, the free passes come back to bite you almost every time. And, yeah, it was it stinks, too, because Ethan Rose had such a good outing.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was fantastic. And so, to go 4 innings in relief was huge for the arms. And just, Yeah, man, it's just tough when the free passes bite you every daggum time, combined with the errors that tend to happen as well. Like, it's just not a good recipe for success.
So I'm keeping an eye on to see if Matt Lashley's back in the lineup this weekend. Cliff Godwin said he was sick last weekend. Then we saw him, I think, pinch hit Sunday. Did not play Tuesday. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, if he's got a serious sickness or if his hamstrings bother him. So we'll see if he's in the lineup tonight. I do not expect, obviously, Colby Weber or Gavin Van Kempen to throw this weekend. I have heard positive reports on just not being long-term injuries. And, I think there's a chance both of them could be back this season. So we'll see what the timeline is there. Nothing official yet, just what I'm hearing from several sources over the last 24 hours or so. But the biggest thing, Joe, is finding enough guys to step up. And hopefully Norby goes deep tonight. We know you have Jenkins for a longer bullpen stint if needed, but can you get enough outs against this type of offense?
You've muted yourself, Jose. I don't know what you did on your end.
The NCAA doesn't want me to speak, Philip.
The NCAA
I told you
muted
they're
him.
trying to silence me. They don't want me to tell you. I think you alluded to it, and it's a great point. How do you get those high leverage outs in those situations? You've got 2 or 3 guys who are in double digits for stolen bases for UTSA, so that's going to be an opportunity too, especially considering the free passes you gave away at Duke. Are they going to be more aggressive on the base paths to try and put themselves into scoring position to get them into that extra base hit situation where they can score and try and put an early run up? And I think it's going to come down to Gavin Marley. And I think, especially considering the leverage plays, we know where Jenkins is going to fall. We know what Ethan Rose can do. But Gavin Marley's sitting at a 2.7 ERA himself, and he's got some good stuff where I think if they need to, they can go long ways with him to try and put him into that kind of long relief role if they need 2 or 3 innings out of him. I think he's got an opportunity for it. Not a ton of opportunities he's had, and I think he's a fresh arm ready to go.
All right, it'll be a 7 p.m. Eastern first pitch tonight, scheduled for 3 o'clock on Saturday, 2 o'clock on Sunday. By the way, Saturday, I'm scheduled to join Mike Mullis at Tiebreakers for the, I think it's Inside the Dugout live watch-along. So if you want to join me and Mully, we'll be there for that. I'm expecting some fireworks, fellas. UTSA, I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but they're just kind of known for their shenanigans in baseball, and they do it. It's mind games. And I've heard they're already up to some of that stuff this weekend in San Antonio as far as game prep and all that. Pat Hallmark, heck of a coach. Cliff Godwin, heck of a coach. But these guys, they can be known to get under the opponent's skin at times, especially, we've seen it with Hallmark. I think Hallmark got ejected at ECU last year, and we've seen Cliff Godwin get fiery in these games. So I don't know. Do we see a Cliff Godwin ejection this weekend? This was a Bucks on the Pond bold prediction from Jonathan Wagner, I believe.
Yeah, it was. Interesting thing tonight is Greek life night in San Antonio. So we're going to have the frats and the sororities yelling at our guys. I'm with Wags on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they both get ejected at some point.
A dual ejection, same game?
No, I think both guys do it while
Cliff
down 2 runs to light a fire to their team's rear end.
Yeah. The last time ECU was at UTSA, there was a situation where UTSA's, I want to say it was Hallmark, one of their coaches was calling out off-speed or fastball as the ECU pitcher was throwing it. So the ECU dugout had to make a noise to offset that. So I'm going to be watching the broadcast this week to see if there's any sort of shenanigans. But I don't know. At least this is a good rivalry. I think has the potential to be one.
I think it's going to be intense, and you're going to see something like Norby's going to go nuts a few times if he ends an inning on a strikeout. And I think there will be some situations of Cliff getting hot. Does he go to the point of a dejection? Probably based upon what happened on Tuesday. I think he's probably going to cool his roll a little bit. And but there will be some intense moments for sure.
All right, we often do this. We'll go picks to click here in a minute. We'll go around the horn. I'll let you guys pick a player that you think will have a good weekend. Tim Smith says, does Cliff get ejected? We covered that. And then RB says, Cliff is already boiling. So, yeah, does he go over the top and then calm down, or does he already calm down? I don't know. We'll see. Once he gets the competitive juices flowing, it's tough. It's tough to hold back in a series like this. So we'll see. All right, picks to click. Who wants to step up and go first?
Ryan Towers.
Ryan Towers.
Oh, I like that.
I like it. Probably Saturday starter, I would think. We don't have any probable pitchers, but that's a good pool.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Somebody's got to. I'm calling out Ryan Towers. I think he's got the best chance to do it. I'm
going to go Ethan Norby. And I know that seems like a cop-out, but to me, the important game of this series is going to be tonight, and for us to get out in front in terms of taking a 1-0 series lead, especially considering our pitching situation the rest of the weekend. Hopefully, as Philip just alluded to, Ryan Towers is that click to pick or pick to click, whatever. But give me Norby to have a big night.
Joseph?
I'm going to go Jack Herring. I think he's got a good opportunity to bounce back after the midweek.
I'm going to go another Joseph Webb. I think Sean Jenkins and Norby will be relied on heavily to hopefully win one game, maybe separate days. But Joseph Webb has kind of emerged as that secondary high-leverage reliever, and he's been coming out on Fridays. So if you ideally want to save Jenkins for a Saturday or Sunday where he can go longer following a more unproven starter, I think Joseph Webb, who has been pitching much better lately, needs to have a good weekend. So there are your picks to click. UTSA hosting ECU. The Roadrunners have won this series each of the last 2 years. Can the Pirates get on the board with a series victory in the American over UTSA? We'll find out as we have some doubters, I think, in the room.
I'm a non-believer. I'll say it.
I mean, I picked a 1-3 week, so I'm going 1-2.
I'm going 0-3. I think 1-2. But what's bold about picking 1-2? You go 0-3.
I've made too many bold predictions to go further. So 0-3. Is it even bold at this point? Is the real question.
I don't know. I did doubt last weekend.
Yes.
I had us dropping the series to UAB, so I provided the bulletin board material. Let Cliff Godwin clip this. Yep. Let him clip it and post it in that UTSA dugout with the fences, or actually chain link fences, and just do the zip ties and that whole deal.
Yeah, there's probably no actual bulletin board there. It's just going to have to jerry-rig it. All right, we'll get a break in. 7 o'clock first pitch tonight. Again, 3 o'clock on Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sunday from historic Roadrunner Field. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll shift gears, talk some NCAA tournament. That continues on after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, segment 2 here. Packed show. We've got Bobby Harward brought to you by Sup Dogs today on this Friday, March 27th edition. We also have the return of Joseph Samson, who his ban has been lifted for at least today. And we have Philip Pilkington producing as well. All right, guys, NCAA tournament. And Bobby just found an interesting note under the table.
I found a tracker, counter for you, Philip.
Yeah. Yeah, we still don't know who left this.
We still don't know who left it. What is it? What was the original thing again?
Can I say that? I don't know what that word is, if I'm allowed to say it.
I don't think we're allowed to say it.
Okay, yeah.
Basically looking at Philip counter.
Yeah.
Okay.
This wasn't a Joe Samson thing, was it?
That'd be a long time to just be sitting there.
Yeah.
I think it was like Scooter was in town.
Yeah.
Randomly and did it.
There's no way Scooter. Yeah, it kind of looks like Scooter's handwriting. All right. I don't know what his handwriting looks like, but this is how I envision he would look. I mean, we could probably say it, but we're not going to because I don't want to go down that path.
Can we just say, what letter does it start with?
G.
Okay.
We'll discuss it during the break.
All right.
All right. NCAA tournament. Back to something that people know what we're talking about. Yesterday, guys, I mean, so first off, I have a bone to pick with whoever is organizing these tournament games. How did we end up with 2 games going down to the wire in the last minute at the same time in Iowa, Nebraska, Purdue, Texas? Because I thought they were supposed to strategically stagger these games. And first off, the basketball for that window was great. Purdue prevails, awesome tip-in by Kaufman-Wren. And then Iowa ends up beating Nebraska. I have no clue what happened in the Iowa game because I don't have multi-view set up because I canceled YouTube TV and I'm doing all the streaming things. So I didn't want to go back between Paramount and HBO Max and all that. So I watched Texas-Purdue. Iowa prevails against Nebraska. So, Philip, you're usually keen to this stuff. Do you know what happened that led to these games ending at basically the same time?
I mean, there was a 20 minutes difference in start time. It's the fact that what game started first? Iowa? No.
I think Texas, Purdue.
Texas, Purdue. Because they're in the same bracket as Arizona. Yeah. The game took 2.5 hours. I mean, they reviewed everything. They reviewed a shot clock violation where because Purdue didn't challenge it, they were never going to give Purdue the ball anyways, whether or not there had actually been a shot clock violation. They just gave the ball to Texas, calling it a shot clock violation on Purdue, but it had gone out of bounds off Texas with half a second left. But because Purdue didn't challenge it, we're going to review it, but not actually change anything. I mean, the guy breathes on somebody, it might be a damn flagrant foul. Let's review it. I mean, it was just terrible. And the crazy thing is this game, the under 16 media timeout of the first half happened at 10:28. So you had over 5.5 minutes of continuous basketball. That should be enough to get you way ahead of the game that you're already 20 minutes ahead of. But no, the officiating is garbage. We have an extra media timeout in the first half now. I mean, it's just, they are dragging this crap out. There was a game the other night that started at 11 o'clock Eastern in Florida. Not in California, not in Hawaii, not in Alaska. In damn Florida, there was a game started at 11 o'clock Eastern. I mean, the idiots that are running this thing just need to be boiled in their own soup.
And I did notice, as I was watching Purdue, Texas, they took at least 5 commercial breaks during the last minute of the game. Like, every time out. It was like they were almost trying to send you to the other game to watch it because they realized that it was coming to an end even quicker because that game ended up ending before Texas-Purdue. I don't know, man. It ticked me off. Anyways, actual basketball talk. Purdue wins, which means Slater's, my son, 4-year-old son, his champion stays alive. He picked Purdue because Boilermakers, trains, all that. And Iowa, who If anybody had Iowa in the Elite Eight, props to you. But Purdue and Iowa advance. Any thoughts, Joe?
I hate Iowa for advancing. That's first and foremost. That was in multiple ways do I hate Iowa for advancing, but especially last night. Not that I expected Nebraska to go wrong. I had Florida into my Final Four, I think, of 2 of my 3 brackets. Just great basketball. I mean, besides Houston, who decided that such a long commute, as Coach Samson said, they had to go all the way to Houston. Shocker to everyone. They drove to Hogwarts and played basketball there. I don't know. They just didn't seem like they got off the bus. There was nothing about that team that made me believe they were going to be the contender we thought they were early on in the tournament. Arizona looked great. Calipari, once again, proving that if he's not paying the best players, he's not coaching the best players. He's got a great roster. They just don't have all the pieces there. And Texas, I mean, clap it up. 11 seed came all the way from the first 4, made the run that they did. Like, clap it up, great shot. But Purdue, as it has been, is one of the best programs in the Big Ten and is proving it once again as it has for the last 5 years.
I do have a question for Steven real quick. Is he a big Thomas the Trains guy? When I was a little kid, I loved Thomas the Train. Is that why he chose Purdue or just trains in general?
He has watched Thomas the Train, and I used to love Thomas the Train Engine, but
I'm just curious, man. We're talking about taking Purdue. I got to ask.
That's what he's saying.
I mean, first off, what an epic show. But secondly, he's more into like just the train tracks, like set him up and take him around more so than that show. But yeah, he's all about the trains. So that is why he picked him. We went through all the mascots, all the colors, but once he saw the actual train logo, he was all aboard. Bobby, did you have any of these teams emerging victorious in your bracket?
I had Arizona. I also had Houston, which was unfortunate.
Dude, what in the heck?
Yeah, I just thought, I don't know. I thought Florida was going to fall apart. And Iowa obviously beat them last week. I think we're learning the Big Ten is the conference we didn't know we needed for NCAA basketball. I mean, they could have the 2 Michigan schools win tonight. They could have 5 of the 8 teams in the Elite Eight, which would be bananas. I also think you learned a valuable lesson this year, not to cancel YouTube TV before the NCAA tournament is over.
That's the problem is every there's always another sporting event that makes me want to keep it, but I've had enough. And you know what?
But what's after the NCAA tournament, though? Baseball, which you already have MLB TV. The Masters,
then
yeah.
the NHL playoffs.
Well, Masters, you
NBA
got
playoffs.
That's over the air. You can do that with an antenna. That's CBS.
And I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I fell asleep before the second set of games started last night.
Well, he started to the clock.
Yeah.
I monitored them. I was watching the Mariners play, but honestly, like, Houston had 24 points with like 15 minutes to go in the second half. And I'm like, I'm not turning this game on. I've seen this enough covering my own beat. So, yeah, I don't know.
They did not look good offensively, and it shows just how many holes are in this offense.
Yeah.
You know, they rely on defense, and that's all well and good. But when you play a team who's, I mean, Illinois is an above-average defensive team. They're not great. They're not St. John's. They're not Duke. They're not Michigan. And you go out there and you can't score. I mean, heck, at one time it was Thomas and I looked at it and we said, "Oh my goodness, it is 28 minutes into this game and they have 25 points. They're scoring less than a point a minute."
It was pathetic. Houston, the first Final Four team I've lost.
Same.
And I regret picking them as I do every year. And I do have Arizona as the champion. Hopefully that pays out. All right, St. John's, Duke tonight, Alabama, Michigan, Michigan State, UConn, Tennessee, Iowa State. Heck of a slate tonight. Phillip, how you feeling about your Dukies?
All right. The tough thing is St. John's is really good defensively. I don't know if Duke is ready to be punched in the mouth with the same defensive toughness that they present night in and night out. That's how they've been winning these tough games, is that they are better than the opponent on the defensive side of the ball. And now they are going to meet their match. Now, the one good thing about Duke is they can shoot the 3-ball a lot better than St. John's. The tough thing is going to be what happens if the 3-ball's not falling? What happens if Cameron Boozer gets into foul trouble? What happens if Big Pat can still only give you 15 minutes of action? I think he should be a little more healthy this time and more conditioned, but there's a lot of questions, I think, right now if you're Duke, and a lot of questions about going into this game. St. John's knows who they are. They know that they can win without hitting the 3-ball and just relying on defense. This is going to be a tough matchup.
I'm going to say that I don't know if Duke wins tonight, but I actually picked St. John's in my bracket to win. But if Duke does win this game, I'm immediately putting in a bet for them to win the national championship because every year they've won it, they've beaten St. John's.
True.
This is true.
Joe, how you feeling about today's slate?
I just want to take a moment for everybody. Can we just look back 5 years ago and think about the fact this is an actual slate in the Sweet 16 first off, and then who would have been coaching, and then who's coaching now? Because nowhere in my right mind did I ever think it was going to be John Shire versus Rick Pitino for a chance to go to the Elite Eight at two absolute cathedrals of college basketball. One that plays in the Mecca, might I add, and the other in the actual cathedral known as Cameron Indoor. And then Michigan State, UConn, Izzo's still doing it. Dan Hurley ran everywhere. They ran everywhere. That's how they're champions. Bama, Michigan, rematch of the Rose Bowl, literally, 1-4, running it right back from 2 years ago. And then Tennessee, Iowa State. Every time I try and pick against Tennessee, every single time, Rick Barnes decides to kick me in my two front teeth like I want them for Christmas. And I got to run through all this all over again. And now I got to root for Iowa State to try and save my bracket. I'm so excited for tonight, not just for the matter of the fact that we get 4 great games because this is real basketball and none of these teams are completely dominated by the three. Even Duke, when it comes to the way that they play offensively down in the post with Boozer, he's probably going to have 18 tonight at least, considering how St. John's likes to play the zone with the slide away. I'm excited for that. Michigan has come out of nowhere after the Juwan Howard issues that they had 2 years ago and where they were abysmally as a program, so that's exciting. Alabama had a guy who allegedly killed somebody 2 times ago, and now they're back into the Sweet 16 with another roster like you've never expected them before. And once again, UConn, Dan Hurley, they ran everywhere. So I'm so fired up, Stephen.
Joe Samson fired up. Tennessee, nobody's talking about him. I faded Rick Barnes. Is this the year?
Dude, yeah, I saw
they're finally like kind of under the radar. Maybe this is the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Nate Ament started out this season a little slow, so I wasn't high on them. And then when I saw Miami of Ohio in that first 4 game, I was immediately picked them to upset Tennessee. Joe, pulling for Iowa State tonight may actually work in your favor as they bitter rivals with the Hawkeyes.
This is true. It's a hate watch. It's a successful hate watch is my hope.
We are almost to the Elite Eight, gentlemen. After tonight, we'll be there, and we'll see who is left standing. All right, we'll get a break in, and we'll come back. Davy Jones wants to know what spring practice updates we have. Not a whole lot, as we haven't been to practice since Monday, but we will share what we can, maybe get some thoughts from Joe and Bobby after this, just on what they're monitoring or what they hope to see, and we'll touch on that. And some MLB. Alec Burleson, opening day home run in a big way for the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll touch on that too. This is Hoist the Colors on a Friday.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I'll remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Friday. It's March 27th. Heading into another great weekend of sports. Sweet 16 continues / concludes tonight, probably into tomorrow morning, as Philip pointed out. I think I saw a 10-10 tip-off for one of the games tonight, so that will be a while. Into the evening, if you can stay up for it. Also, MLB opening day has come and gone for most teams. We'll get into that in a second. Davy Jones wants to know, no spring practice updates, ? I guess no news is good news. Well, we have Bobby Harward, Joe Samson here with us, Philip Pilkinen producing. And we've gotten a decent amount of access, but this week in particular, Davy Jones, we had about 30 minutes Monday. We got to talk to Blake Harrell then. You can listen to the full interview online, Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game. We didn't have any access Wednesday. They practice every other day this time of year right now, and they're practicing tonight. So there really isn't a whole lot going on that we can share. They are doing the Student Appreciation Day, which I am a big fan of. They're going to have students out there tonight. It's probably not going to be a whole lot of information to share. It's more of an engagement period. But I did like, Bobby, and I'll let you expand on this. Philip and I have already talked about it, kind of the tone Blake set in his press conference Monday. I don't know if you've listened to it, but he made it clear he wasn't happy with winning 9 games and going to the Military Bowl. So he wants to move that barometer up and get his team to buy into that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he's setting that precedent in spring, because it is easy sometimes to kind of cruise through spring practice, and to get the most out of it, especially with 2 new coordinators, you want that intensity every day. And the beautiful thing about spring practice, too, is it's good on good most of the time, because once you get into the fall, you're doing all the scout team work, and this is a chance to really see who your team is and what you have, and especially with not having that second portal window, like, you want to feel pretty confident rolling into the summer.
Joseph, Samson, that was the thing I was going to ask you as a former player. Just kind of being out there the first few days, it did feel like, all right, this is spring practice vibes. Like, you don't have that same intensity. Like, preseason camp, everybody is locked in. And it's going to be even more glorified this fall because you've got Alabama as your opener. Like, I think once they take the field for preseason camp, there's going to be no messing around. But like Bobby said, it's pretty clear Blake wants his guys to lock in as much as they can now, because I think he feels like, honestly, they have a lot of improving to do to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby nailed it on the head. These are 2 new coordinators, 2 new procedurals. How else are you going to try and incentivize and get these programs to really get to where they need to get to? You had how many years under that one Blake Harrell type system, and he's still going to call plays, but the new DC may want to run practice a little different, do a different drill, try and get these guys into a different pursuit drill. That's just how the turnover goes. Spring is so tough to judge as far as intensity goes, especially when you win. If you lose that last game, Bobby will tell you first and foremost, that spring they are spitting nails from January 16th after the national title until you have the spring game and the exit meetings in April. They are furious. when you win something like that and you close it out on a high, same way we did against SMU is probably the best one I have to go off of when we were really kind of building that trajectory. And then we went into that 2021 season where we made the first military bowl game after that. It's a different feeling. It's a different intensity because you know what it takes to get where you need to get to, but you know you haven't accomplished your goal. Every single person in that program right now will tell you the goal is to win an AAC championship and then go to the playoff. You're not aiming for the military bowl. It's no disrespect to anybody else. You're not aiming for the Tony the Tiger Bowl, the Gronk Bowl, the Beef O'Brady Bowl, the I can't find my shoes bowl. You're playing for a chance at the national championship. And that is why you put in all this work. So to try and find that intensity, I'm sure this week wasn't so pretty, and that's kind of why media availability was a little different. I'm sure Blake Harrell was trying to get the guys to go up because he knows what needs to be done. Student appreciation, I'm excited for it. I think there is so much around a program that can feed into the students, and for them to be out there, I know the energy of one-on-one, 7-on-7, Skelly, all these things, even goal line stuff, even if it's just procedural like inside zone or some kind of tunnel screen where anybody's ever seen it, you're not picking any cues up offensively where somebody could be in the stands kind of taking a video and sending it off to Alabama because we know they've had a history of that in the past. But I'm so excited that they have an opportunity to take the reins and are treating it as such.
So Joe kind of hinted at this with the limited media availability, and this is a question I have for you because you've been out there, excuse me, some, and you've been able to see it. Like with Jordan Hankins coming in, you kind of expect, okay, he's caught it before, he's known how to operate and, scheme up a practice and how he wants it to function. How does Jordan Davis look? How does the offense look? Like, does it look discombobulated? Does it look organized and well put together? Those are the things that I'm also kind of am curious about with him being a first-time coordinator and doing his practice script and those sort of things.
The two things that have stuck out to me is how similar in a lot of ways it looks to what we saw under JDB. Like, it is very organized from what I can tell, and they go fast. There's not wasted time at all. It is a ton of tempo. It is a ton of fast motion signaling. Even like as to the details of Hunter McKay, who was on JDB's staff, he's kind of like the lead signaler guy, and he's still kind of doing that, and he's making the same sound he did during in between plays when he was working with JDB. So I do see a lot of similarities. I've seen also a lot of 11 personnel. We've seen some 4 wide sets, but more so 11 personnel in those settings where they have one tight end on the field. And the other thing that stood out to me is his assistant quarterbacks coach, I think his name's Caden Malone. He's been very involved in coaching the quarterbacks technique-wise, along with Jordan Davis being in that room. So, like, when JDB was with the quarterbacks, he pretty much ran through all the drills, whereas Caden Malone, the new assistant quarterbacks coach, who has more of a background working with the quarterbacks, he's more hands-on. Not that Jordan Davis isn't, but it seems like he's more so running the entire offense, the scheme, and then Malone's kind of helping with the quarterbacks too, which I kind of like.
Now, do you see in those scenarios or situations, is Jordan walking down and maybe with the offensive line and the offensive line coach, or is he, if they're like on routes on air or something, is he working with the receivers in terms of depth and routes and those sort of deals?
I do think he's more involved with kind of the whole offense than maybe JDB was. Now, he is obviously still more so specialized with the quarterbacks, but he does move around a little bit more than JDB was, who just felt like it was more so just always with the quarterbacks. So that's, and I like it. He hasn't coached quarterbacks firsthand. Obviously, he played receiver, coached receiver, so I do like that. He wasn't afraid to bring in somebody to help with the quarterbacks, So
yeah, I mean, that's great. The fact that he's already going to recognize some of his weaknesses from the get-go, I mean, that's a huge help. And, honestly, it's kind of been some criticism from some of those air raid guys is how they actually coach the technique and fundamentals of the quarterback position. So for him to come in and bring a guy that's experienced and well-equipped to do that is great.
Hey, you're already seeing your coordinator have, I don't mean this like lack of pride, but not being a prideful, over-prideful guy. Here we are, and we're 2 weeks into this thing.
Yep, yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of, I don't know if egotistical is the right word or not, but like just guys who aren't willing to do, separate those responsibilities or bring in some help. And I think it's a good thing. And we'll learn more and more as we watch practice. And, again, the quarterback competition, Blake Harrell did say, by the way, that it will probably go through the entirety of the offseason between Emory Williams and Mitch Griffiths. They're splitting reps every day. Final question before we get a break in, Bobby, do you like that they're basically going to let it ride. He did say, it's a possibility even the quarterbacks could separate themselves, and he still wants that competition to continue.
I love it. I don't see a reason to name a starting quarterback right now when you don't have a guy that's already in place. It's not like a situation where I'm already going blank on the dude's name. I've moved on to next season. I forgot Caden Hauser's name already.
He's already put it in the past.
That's right. It's in the rearview mirror. Like Caden Hauser comes back, yes, no duh. That situation, he's the starting quarterback. But when you're bringing in 2 new guys to compete for the job, there's no reason right now. The transfer window and Griffiths' situation has changed a little bit. You don't probably have to worry as much about him leaving. That is a factor, though. But what's the point of naming a starting quarterback here on March 27th?
Joe, I was going to ask you this, too, before we get a break in. At the end of spring, as a player, did you ever feel like you really knew how good of a team you guys were, or was it just kind of a, I'm not going to say waste of time, but I don't know, I feel like as a reporter at the end of spring, I still don't really know what to expect. As a player, do you have a decent idea, or is it still just kind of another step before you really find out preseason camp and then games?
Going into the 2022 season, we knew because all those guys that had transferred in, we'd known, we'd been with. So you get that feeling of it. Nowadays, it's so tough to tell, I think, especially with talent issues and attitudes and coaches leaving in the middle of the night now. And I don't even mean that in it used to not be that way. It truly is just anywhere at any given time. Some coach could pop up in a different scenario or take a guy with him or one of those things past June 1st. It's a little different than it used to be. But you get a feel for the 1s and 2s, I'd say. Obviously, there's some guys who are going to make some big strides and make a couple plays that you didn't see before that get the ball in spring. But Nick Saban used to always say it, and we saw the clip every single year in spring practice. And I don't know if, Bobby, you saw it in the staff room at all at any point. Spring isn't about choosing who's going to be on the bus. It's about getting the right guys to get on the bus. So you're just trying to establish who on your roster is going to be those guys that you can actually use on special teams, who can play the wing on field goal and know that that's their job week in and week out and get the snot knocked out of them and make sure that the kick goes through procedural, who's going to be in the punt shield, who can cover on punt, who can run down on kickoff return and block the L5, who's on steroids and wants to wedge bust like a 1950s linebacker for the Bears. That's what spring is about. And you have an idea of the guys talent-wise of who's going to pick up the pieces, so to speak, but it's not a mini camp. It's never been a mini camp. When you get to team camp, you got to take a job from somebody else in order to be on that field, or you're not going to be on that field, and that's really where you start to feel the talent discrepancies between the 1 and 2s.
All right, that is the voice of Joe Samson hanging out today along with Bobby Harward and Philip Pilkington. We'll get our final break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show, some Major League Baseball talk after this.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color. not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut and color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
Welcome back in, Hoist the Colors. Yesterday was opening day, and three of the gentlemen on this show, Bobby Harward, Joseph Samson, technically the night prior for him as a Yankees fan, and Philip Pilkinen with the Red Sox, got to see their teams win. Must be nice, gentlemen. Good thing there's 161 games left. How about Alec Burleson, though? Man, he went absolute launch mode with a 2-run shot to right field to cap, I think, a 7-run. It was 7-1.
It was an 8-run inning, and we got the call here.
Let's hear it. Alec Burleson, 432 feet.
Work, right?
Swing and a drive! Belted right! Burley admires that one! She is long gone!
It's the most exciting thing the Cardinals fans will see this year.
Yep.
We know Joe loves the Cardinals. How'd you feel about that?
Look, it's like you said, it's opening day. I mean, there's a long way to go. There are people picking the Rockies to win today. We all know the Rockies aren't going to be anything. Win one game means nothing. Yes, Philip, I understand. But who is going to pitch?
Kyle Freeland.
Okay, and what happens when Freeland gets knocked out in the third inning with 3 runs?
Your guy, Zach Agnos.
Agnos throws the last 6.
Comes in and throws the last 6.
He can go long.
Not 6, though.
Yeah. Alec Burleson, by the way, 109 miles per hour, exit velocity, 432 feet. It was sweet to see him get a curtain call. And he showed some emotion, too. Like, Burley, usually pretty stoic guy. He was jacked up rounding the bases, so that was pretty awesome. Bobby, your O's win?
O's won.
Game, right?
Yeah, very low-scoring game. We both lineups struggled. Joe Ryan threw for the Twins. Their lineup's awful anyways, the Twins is. But Trevor Rogers, can build off of last year and continue in that streak of just throwing really well. I'll also add to Alec Burleson, I picked him up this year in fantasy. I drafted him. So 3 for 4 day yesterday, which was huge for my fantasy team. Now we're in weekly lineups instead of daily. But I also need to apologize to Jonathan Wagner. I bet against the Washington Nationals yesterday because I thought the Cubs would be the logical choice for a money line bet. And boy, was I wrong.
Hey, Wags told me this morning the 10 runs they scored is the most ever on opening day since moving from Montreal to Washington.
Wow.
Enjoy it while you can, Wags, because there are a lot of lean days
he's
ahead.
giving Patrick so much crap. Tune in at 5 o'clock to hear Wags give Patrick crap.
Get it in while you can. He did text multiple times and tweet that the Nats are a wagon, which is, I guess, something. The Red Sox shut out the Reds 3-0. I watched the first few innings of this game, Philip, and the first inning I think was a combined 10 pitches maybe. Both teams were just up there hacking.
Yeah.
So it went pretty quick. 3-0, Crochet locked in.
It did. Crochet was great. And, sometimes the issue with Crochet is if he's not striking guys out, he's struggling. He did a really good job yesterday getting bad contact, a lot of lazy fly balls. So hopefully he can add to that because sometimes, like I said, if he doesn't strike out 8 to 10 guys, you're a little worried.
Joey had James Giglio, who's a Yankees fan, on Wednesday. He said he's ready to get hurt again this year. How about you?
It's perpetual. I mean, I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Yankees fan. I know nothing but pain. In my entire time on this planet, I have seen one championship, and it was 2009, and that's because they decided not to test A-Rod until 2010. And everybody knows it, and it's okay to admit it. I'm ready to get hurt again. The problem is you run it back, and we're doing the same thing we did last year. Insurmountable expectations. We figured out the answer with Jose Caballero now going to be the shortstop instead of Volpe, which is the same thing we said about Jazz. And then we said the same thing about Ryan McMahon at third base when we traded for him at the deadline. And it's all fine and good, but nothing matters if you have 3 hits in October. And that's what's going to happen once again. I'll ride the high while I can. I'll live for it. I'll realize that Jason Dominguez is the Christmas present I still haven't been able to open now for 6 years, and he's still considered a rookie, which is ridiculous in the own MLB fights of however it gets. Luis Gil is going to start in the minors as well, and for some reason we just don't want to bring up the guys who are supposed to take over the reins and play the young stars. Instead, we have to pay some 37-year-old to stand in center field like Dr. Sleep from the Stephen King novel and watch him lazily play a fly ball because he won a Gold Glove after sitting on the bench for 6 years before he was traded to San Diego.
At least it wasn't O'Neal Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah, at least it wasn't O'Neal Cruz.
Well, Joe, you've taken up our final time, which I expected nothing less. Appreciate you today, my friend. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Joe, for joining us. We'll get you back on maybe next year. Bobby, appreciate you.
Yep.
Appreciate Philip as well. Go Rockies, ? We'll see if they can get one of their few wins this season. Shout out Zach Agnos. Maybe he'll be the winning pitcher. We got to get out of here. Everybody enjoy the weekend. Tune in to ECU Baseball. We'll see you Monday to break it all down.
Colors with your host, Stephen Igo.